Hello everyone, I am joined by Custom Bodies Tom. We've finally been able to arrange this call. Been in the works for months. Tom, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, good, thanks. Good, thanks. Very excited. So how would you best describe what you do? Kind of your job, really?
So I'm most of my work is still as an in-person personal trainer, 2/3 of it, and then obviously the rest 1/3 I do online. So with some in-person clients, train face to face at my home gym, and then all the online stuff is done with people. To be fair, not too far-reaching. A lot of my clients I actually know through like the gym and that sort of stuff. And then there's potential obviously to reach people all around the country, all around the world with that. But for the most part, most of my clients are fairly local, even online.
And so you're on prep at the moment, aren't you?
Correct. Yeah, this is week 19, so September the 18th is the first contest. I think that's 6 weeks this Sunday for the PCA London.
Okay, so would you not classify yourself as a bodybuilder as well, or is that not part of the job just yet?
Maybe if I achieved anything, I might do. It's more of a hobby. I mean, bodybuilding is not a particularly well-paid sport, even at the top level. So if you are an amateur, you basically just got to enjoy it because you're certainly not winning any money. Get a little trophy, get some recognition, get some cool photos, and it's more about the experience, I would say. But yeah, you're definitely not getting much out of it. Maybe you win like a tub of protein or something at some contest, but that's probably about all you can hope for until you're much higher up the chain, I think.
Not bad. A tub of protein. Do you get to decide the flavour, or is it just is it random?
It probably just depends on who's sponsoring the show. Probably some of the sponsors probably wouldn't even like, I guess, as well. So yeah, just a bit of blind luck. Although I think a lot of the shows now do little goodie bags, so you might get like a cookie, which is a lot more exciting. I think everyone would rather have that.
Yeah, definitely. How's this prep been going? You said you're 19 weeks in.
Yeah,
what's it been like?
it has been okay. So yeah, I won't lie. I might have to swear on the podcast with me.
I haven't actually figured that one out yet.
I was trying not to.
Yeah. That's not for now.
Okay.
Maybe in the future we can swear.
So yeah, I won't lie. I've had a few failed preps in the past for various reasons. I mean, the most recent one, I was supposed to do a contest. What was the year? The first lockdown, 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, 2020.
So I was just beginning a prep in 2020, and then obviously COVID and lockdowns that went completely out the window. So not really my fault that time, but that one, and then two preps before that for various reasons. Just went completely tits up. Work stuff, life stuff, all just a little bit too stressful, a little bit too much. Couldn't kind of string it all together. So I know. Sorry, that was it. So they had the 2020 was the COVID prep went tits up, and then last year I just got pretty unwell, to tell you the truth. I had a liver infection, and I swelled up like a balloon. So I was like massive, like really round, loads of water retention and stuff. Actually, I ended up going to hospital. Turned out to be nothing too serious in the end, but they had to get like blood tests and the ECG and stuff done just to make sure that basically the water retention edema, it can be literally like fluid and sodium imbalance, but it can also be heart failure, liver failure, and kidney failure. So they had to make sure that it wasn't that. Obviously, it wasn't. It was like fluid imbalance, basically, in the liver infection. So everything was fine, but yeah, that just ruined my prep completely. And I had like extreme fatigue and that sort of stuff that kind of came with it. So yeah, had a couple of failed preps, and then this year, hired a coach, Christian Chapman, Christian_Physique Collective. Shout out on Instagram. Yeah, that's been really good so far. It is hard. It is hard. I do find it difficult, but like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you got to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy every part of it. Like it is a challenge, but it's very rewarding to see how far you can push yourself, see your physique change, and kind of like drag yourself through some like super tough days, super tough workouts, and just kind of see how far you can push yourself.
Apart from obviously the external factors that you mentioned earlier, and not having liver problems, and whatever else is going on, what is different about this prep compared to previous ones? Has anything changed, or is it the fact that you're just getting a bit more lucky this time with other things coming in?
I suppose there is an element of luck, but also having a coach is completely different. It's more accountability. I am a coach, so I understand the value of it. But yeah, the added accountability, added knowledge, and one of the main things for me was kind of offloading just the decision-making process. So it's just one less thing on your plate to have to worry about. So when I'm kind of doing all my own client stuff, it's like 40-ish people of check-ins and training plans and diet plans and that sort of stuff, and then trying to do your own on top of it as well. It's just one less thing to have to worry about. And increasingly, as you go through the diet, you just can't really trust yourself necessarily to make the right decisions. So you want to have an objective eye with someone who can look in from the outside, look at the facts, look at the numbers, look at the pictures, and say, okay, yeah, we need to make these changes, or we don't need to make these changes. I'm certainly guilty, I think, in the past of running myself into the ground too early. You kind of end up a little bit battered at the end of prep anyway. But I think I've gone too hard, too quick, and just kind of crashed and burned, not taking breaks when I was supposed to. And in fact, I remember last year, kind of the chain of events that started this liver infection was I got food poisoning, which is not a huge issue. It was like a 24-hour thing, but everything after that just kind of went and like rolled into something else. And I remember the weekend that I got food poisoning, I was thinking to myself, oh, maybe I should take a little break. Maybe I should have a couple of high carb days here. And I think if I'd taken those high carb days, I wouldn't have eaten, I think it was unwashed salad, basically, that gave me food poisoning. I wouldn't have eaten the salad and I wouldn't have had food poisoning, and then all the other things might not have happened afterwards. But I was like, no, I'll push it one more week. Ended up getting food poisoning, and it just led to a whole host of other issues in the long run. So yeah, having someone to tell you when to take a break, when to push, it does make a big difference. Like offloading the decision making and stuff is massive. It's a big stress relief.
And so obviously this prep, you just mentioned, maybe perhaps it's a bit more organised in the fact that someone else is managing it for you, the decision making. But has there been any hard parts? Has there been anything that's really kind of, caused you to struggle a little bit? Is there anything that is making it difficult?
There's nothing specifically in terms of issues. For me, I think that one of the hardest things is the fatigue. So you get hungry. That's part of the prep, but I find that's not necessarily the biggest issue. You can kind of deal with it, extra caffeine, hot drinks and that sort of stuff, big salads and that sort of things to help fill your stomach. So the hunger is hard, but it's not the hardest part. For me, it's the fatigue. And I find when I've got a busy day of in-person clients, and for each person, obviously I want to be providing their service, you want to be optimistic, what's it called? Just energetic, yeah.
Productive.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Energetic, and you provide the best service, and just generally make sure that they are having a good session. They paid for your time, and you want to make sure that you're providing good service and stuff. So being kind of switched on and just on it for, at least 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours in a row, that can be quite hard, particularly when you're demonstrating exercises, loading the plates and the bars and that sort of stuff. That's probably the hardest thing for me, is just staying. I'm always motivated to do it because I enjoy my work, but actually doing it sometimes, okay, this is quite tough. And sometimes we'll finish, 3 or 4 clients in a row, and I'll just sit down for a bit and okay, yeah, I am knackered at this point. Particularly as well, if you go that long without food. So again, normally I try to eat every kind of 3 hours or so. And on prep, that just becomes a bit more important. Less food, you're hungrier, you have less energy and stuff. So when you end up going 3, 4 hours without food and you're on your feet moving around constantly, you get to the end of it and you're like, okay, yeah, I am dead out. And then you get to eat some salad. And yeah, it's not particularly exciting. But yeah, that's probably the hardest part for me is the fatigue.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine, really. I want to take you away from this prep now, and I wanted to ask what inspired you to start getting into training? Where did it all begin, and how did you become a coach?
I've been going to the gym. I'm 31. I've been going to the gym since I was 17. Basically, since I passed my driving test, I could drive to the gym. And kind of my initial reasoning was I just want to be massive. I was like, yeah, I'll go to the gym, get huge. I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, one summer I'll be jacked, I'll be huge. This is how it goes. Obviously, that's not the case. It takes much longer. But yeah, my initial goal was just to get big, really, really big. And I was fortunate in that the person who kind of introduced me to the gym, one of the first things he said to me was like, "Oh yeah, you got to squat, bro. You got to squat. You got to train your legs. That's how you get massive." So I was lucky in that when I initially started going to the gym, I wasn't just like doing chest and biceps. I was squatting and I was doing this and that and everything, and kind of covering all the bases. So whether my technique was any good or not, I couldn't tell you. Probably not. But I did cover the whole of the body to begin with. And after going for a little while, just was like, you know what, I really enjoy this. I was going with a couple of friends. They all just kind of dropped out for a few reasons. But I was like, you know what, I'm really enjoying this. Just carried on going on my own. Carried on into like university and that sort of stuff. When I was at university, just had a lot more time. So I was just like, yeah, cool, gonna go gym. And I'm not sure at what point I was like, oh, maybe I could turn this into a job. But at some stage at university, I was like, you know what, in between uni years, I had a few like random odd jobs. But then I was like, I reckon I can do the personal trainer courses as well. So between uni years, I did the personal training courses. Then once I graduated from uni, finished, it's level 3 is the one you need to actually become a personal trainer. And then, so I would have been 21, 22, something like that, when I actually got my first personal trainer job. Online coaching back then wasn't a thing, as far as I know, anyway. And then I've just been a trainer for, about 10 years, online coaching for 2 or 3, something like that. So I'm still pretty new to the online side of things, but I don't think I will ever stop in-person PT just because I enjoy it. It's nice to be face-to-face with people, but I probably will end up doing less of that in the long run and more online, I think.
I always see on your Instagram that you say that quads is your favourite muscle group to train, or legs. I might be reading it wrong. Did that come from that very start when that guy was going, you need to squat?
Yeah,
you need
probably.
To do this?
The other thing, I always find you kind of gravitate to what you're good at. So just my mechanics and the way I'm set up, I'm just quite a good squatter. I've got short legs and a long torso. So getting to depth and squatting has always been quite easy for me. So when you're good at something, you do it more. And then off you went, basically. So yeah, I've always done a lot of leg work, literally from the first day. I've always done a lot of squatting. I don't recommend this program, but for a while I did a program called Squat Every Day. It's a pretty stupid program now that I actually have a better understanding of training and stuff. But for a while I was squatting every day, that sort of thing. So yeah, now I've got a bit of a bad back, probably from squatting every day. But I still do like a lot of like leg press, hack squat and that sort of stuff. It's a lot safer, a lot more secure. But yeah, I do love a bit of leg training, specifically quads, just because I'm good at it, basically.
I suppose that brings me into my next section, really. You mentioned you got a bit of a bad back. How do you manage that, especially when in prep, when food's low, when fatigue is high? How do you recover? What do you implement to make sure that doesn't get too overwhelming?
I have to be really careful with it, actually. I actually saw the osteo yesterday. So I get osteo probably every 5 or 6 weeks, and physio maybe 4 or 5, a little bit more frequently. The osteo was the one who sort of identified the problem and kind of really treats the actual issue. The physio is the one who kind of treats the symptoms. So when I have pain and like a lot of like tension in the soft tissue around my back, the physio is the one who kind of strips that out and gets rid of it and stuff. But actually getting to the root of the problem, I basically have nerve impingement at L2 and L3. And basically, because I get a lot of tension on the left-hand side of my spine, it all kind of balls up into a knot, and it's called contortion. It contorts my hip, which means it just pulls it round. And as it pulls my hip round, it causes this nerve impingement at L2, L3, clamps down on a nerve, and I get this like tingling sensation that comes down my leg. And then I've also had a rotated vertebrae a couple of times, which I would not recommend. Very painful. It's actually really easy to fix, but incredibly painful. Still not really sure what the cause of it is. I've actually got finally an MRI scan on the 10th of August, so I'm hoping to kind of find out if there's something deeper lying. But yeah, basically that's the issue. Regular physio, regular osteo, and then with my training, I just really careful. So first of all, I always do pre-exhaust stuff, so I always do kind of leg extensions and leg curls first, so that my quads and hamstrings are tired when I come to do the bigger exercises, but my back is completely fresh. And that way I can still do the bigger exercises with a fresh back, but use less weight because my quads and hamstrings are already fatigued. So that's one way to keep the exercises in, but use less weight and therefore put less strain on your back. And it also just, again, cliche, just not lifting with the ego. So if I feel any pain at all, I just stop. A few years ago, I think that was my downfall. Whereas, if I had written down 4 sets of squats, I was doing 4 sets of squats, whatever, however I felt I was going to do it, doesn't matter. And I was going to stick to the weight that I had written down, and I was going to get it done just regardless of how I felt. I did learn the hard way that is not a sensible way to train. So now literally any pain at all, any discomfort, I'll just stop and move on, or I'll just literally just go and do some extra leg extension, that sort of thing. So I'll manage it in the session if I feel it, and then outside of the session, regular physio, regular osteo. I should do more kind of stretching and stuff really, and outside of prep I will do, but when you're on prep and stuff, you've got like cardio and steps and things to do, I don't have as much time, but I just see the osteo more basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You seem like quite a busy guy, and I personally don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, you seem like you've got a schedule, you've got things to do. Yeah, you want to work hard. Having that alongside prep as well, you know, we just spoke about the physical recovery, or managing injuries and physical stress. How do you deal with possible mental stress? You know, how do you kind of make sure that it doesn't get on top of you, and then you can't put so much attention into
to tell you the truth, some
movement?
days it does get on top of me. One thing I find hard is, obviously, like 40-ish clients, my phone is going off constantly, like all the time. And that's part of the job. Basically, you have to be available to people to deal with problems as they come up, not just at the session or not just at the check-in. So, you know, that's part of it. But one thing I do to kind of give myself just some time away from my phone is when I train, I put my phone on aeroplane mode. So, you know, it's 2 hours, whatever it is, where no matter what the problem is, doesn't matter how serious the problem is, I am unavailable. You are not getting hold of me. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how urgent it is, my phone is off. And that's really important to me. So as soon as I go into the gym, phone on aeroplane mode, that is my time. Put my music on, and I just kind of thrash out, get it done. As soon as I finish, turn it back on. And sometimes I'll turn it back on, have like 50 messages, and then kind of like work through it all. But that is actually really, really important for me. Hour and a half, 2 hours where the phone is completely off, and I'm just getting done what I want to do. Very much therapy when you're lifting, I think, sometimes. And then along it is. Along a similar line, I just try and set like working hours to an extent. So 7 p.m. In the evening, I just don't reply to, unless it's urgent, I don't reply to work messages. 7 o'clock is the end of the day for me. So if someone texts me at 7 o'clock, unless it's something serious, I'll just reply the next day. And that's where I just try and finish there. Because to tell you the truth, I normally go to bed about 9 o'clock. So I normally finish work either with clients or on the computer at 7. Go and make some food, tidy up. That takes about an hour. And then 8 till 9, sit around, watch TV. 9 o'clock, go to bed. So, you know, it's 2 hours there at the end of the day of just kind of eating, tidying up, chilling out, and then getting back to work the next morning. But that's it really. Just phone off during the gym, and then the final kind of 2 hours of the day, not replying to work stuff.
It's quite interesting actually, because, you know, although you've got that 2 hours at the end of the day, and maybe you've got a little bit of time just to get your day started, that other time which is kind of like your retreat, your thing away from work, your rest is actually training. So even when you're trying to come away from everything, come away from the work side of things, instead of sitting down on the sofa, instead of, you know, like watching TV, your therapy is training, which is really interesting, because it's like you're always focused on this one goal. I wanted to bring you onto social media, and I want to start with what immediately caught my attention on your bio, and I want to ask, and this might be quite in detail, quite in depth, but as simply as possible. How do you turn gym bros into gym pros?
Turning gym bros into gym pros, you've got to hire me first of all, obviously. But I think basically there's, as I'm sure you well know, there is a lot of misinformation on the internet. Just all sorts of stuff around dieting and training and that. And if you go to any gym in the country, there's going to be people doing all sorts of random things, and a lot of it is just bullshit. There's a lot of influencers on the internet and on Instagram just touting random stuff. And actually, if you just take a little step back, think about it or analyse it, there's a lot easier, a lot better, a lot smarter ways to train. And even though kind of like evidence-based training and nutrition is coming more to the forefront, you still see just a lot of, it's basically just old wives' tales and like bro science and stuff. Like, I've heard people still in today's day and age to say eat tilapia to thin your skin. You know, eating spicy food speed up your metabolism. That's just complete bollocks. There's not a food in the world that's going to thin your skin. It's impossible. But these are still ideas that are kind of floating around.
You go to your family dinner and your
Yeah.
fat uncle tells you to eat spicy foods because it's good for
These
you.
things still exist, and people still believe them. You know,
Yeah.
you can't eat carbs after a certain time in the evening, or carbs in general make you fat, and that sort of stuff. And they're just all sorts of random things that, for some reason, refuse to die. It's like bro science and old wives' tales and stuff. So I would like to try and dispel with just all of that stuff.
Absolutely, and with social media as well. I was trying to scroll back to your first ever post earlier on, and it took me bloody ages because you have posted so much. But what motivates you to continually post on Instagram? Is it to do with building your brand?
Yeah, well, it's with
is it
everything.
just
So yeah, obviously building the brand,
really?
putting out good information. I hope that my information finds people with a similar mindset to me. I try and make content for myself, basically, things that I would like to read, things that I would like to enjoy, in the hope of attracting like-minded people. As I've gone through social media, I think I went through a phase of like not posting anything unless it was informative, and I think actually that was a mistake, and probably it would be better served being a bit more personable on there. So more recently, I've tried to be more personable, posting like random personal stuff that I've been doing, but I do that much, like dog walks and that sort of thing. Just some funny stuff, a couple of memes. Sometimes there's no value to my post. It's just, here's a picture of me with my top off, but people seem to find it interesting. But I would say I always try, I'm not counting it out, I suppose, but I want there to be value in my page. So, for example, if I click onto someone's page and all I see is pictures of them with their top off, I'm immediately clicking off it because I just don't care. There's no value here for me. Yeah, I want to see people's physiques and stuff, male and female. I'm going to see what people are up to, see what they're looking at. But if that's all I see, I'm not interested in that. I want to see some kind of value, whether that be entertainment or information, or the work they're doing with clients and that sort of thing. I want to see more than just like topless selfies in the mirror.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you've built your social media quite far actually, and it's impressive. We spoke about your routine earlier and how you seem quite busy. How do you structure your day to be the most effective? You spoke about your 2 hours at the end of the day for recovery and things like that.
I'm very organised.
Is there a lot of planning involved?
So I use the iCalendar on the iPad, and literally from the moment I wake up until 7 o'clock, my day is organised by the hour. So usually I have a client at 6 a.m. And a client at 7, and then so get up at 5, have a client at 6, client at 7. They have meal 1 at 8. We have a client at 9, client at 10, meal 2 at 11. It does change some days a little bit, but generally that's how my morning runs. And then between 11 and 1, I will either be working on the computer or like running errands, go to Sainsbury's or Aldi or whatever. If it's a training day, 1 o'clock is when I train. So train sort of 1 till, I don't know, 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that. Finish training, go out, get some steps, come back, have some food, have a shower. And then it does change a little bit in the evenings. Usually I have a client at 5. Every day I have a client at 6. And then my day ends at 7. If it's a non-training day, then I just fill that time with cardio, steps, errands, computer work, this sort of stuff. 7 o'clock, cook a meal, tidy up. 8 o'clock, chill time. 9 o'clock, bed. And that's pretty much how 9 out of 10 days go for me, at least Monday to Friday anyway. Get up a little bit later. It's get up at 6, very exciting. And then I normally go for a walk, get some steps done, come back, have meal 1, sort of again, 8 o'clock. Sometimes I have 1 client, sometimes I have 2 clients, but 9 and 10, or one or other or both. Again, get a couple of meals in. And then on a Saturday, I usually go and train at Iron Bodies. So I train at home during the week, and on the weekend, Saturdays, I go and train at a gym about half an hour away called Iron Bodies, just to use some of the other kit, really. So I head down there, get down there for 1 o'clock, train to about 3, come back, again, have some food, finish steps, and then usually in the afternoon, just me and my missus, like, chill out, watch some TV, watch a film, just relaxing and stuff. During away from prep, maybe we'll do something like go to the cinema or go out for dinner or something, but at the moment it's basically just come home, chill out, have some prep food, and then go to bed pretty early again, standard. Sundays I don't work with in-person clients, I just have check-ins, and so I get up in the morning, do some cardio, have check-ins in the morning, and then I normally try and work until midday, and then have Sunday afternoon to just do whatever. walk, coffees, that sort of thing. So yeah, always have Saturday afternoon off, Sunday afternoon off.
What would be your biggest piece of advice for someone starting out as an online coach, or just like a PT in person?
To be honest with you, it is a saturated market. There is a lot of people. So I'm not saying you should be doing outlandish things to try and stand out, but you just need to be doing a good job. You need to care, really. As cliche as that sounds, like people see straight through it. If you don't care, no one's going to come to you. I think client retention is probably more important than picking up new clients. If you can't keep a client because you can't provide a good service, you have no foundation to build upon. If you're constantly one in, one out, and always chasing new leads and new clients without looking after the people you've already got, that's a mistake. So I would say, yeah, look after the clients you already have, prioritise them, make sure you're providing a good service, because they're not going anywhere. And if they're not going anywhere, hopefully they're talking about you in a good light. Maybe they're generating leads for you, and you can kind of build on that foundation. But if you can't maintain clients for any more than a couple of months, you're always going to struggle to build a business. A few of my, well, not even a few, a lot of my in-person clients have been my clients for years and years and years. So they stick around if you do a good job and they like you, basically. So you have to be, a nice person. You have to get on with everyone. Well, not want to get on with everyone. You have to get on with the clients you want to stick around, or else you'll never be able to build any sort of business.
Well, Tom, I'm going to end it there. Hopefully we can get you on again in the near future if we can arrange a day. It might take us another year or so. But where can people find you on Instagram or other socials?
Custom_bodies_Tom. I had Facebook. I don't really use it. Instagram's probably the best place to do. So yeah, you can hit me up on there. If you've got any questions about training, nutrition, never mind talking about it, please just shoot me a DM. I'm always happy to go over anything anyone wants to.
Brilliant. You've been really good, mate. Thanks so much for everyone watching. This has been Custom Bodies Tom, or Tom Fearn.
Excellent.